what is the point of even sending this message? I phoned this person up and I said, listen, I love you. I said, but why did you even bother sending me this message? This is a complete waste of time. I love you with my heart, with my soul, with every fiber of my entire being. How are you feeling right now, beautiful soul? So I want to chat to you today about the one that is working through the all. Quite often when we're speaking to another human being, on a higher level, we're actually speaking and communicating with ourselves. We often forget this, and the human being that we're speaking to is most of the time unconscious of this very fact. Quite often at a higher level, you have you testing you through another human being. I'll give you a prime example. About 24 hours ago, 36 hours ago, I'm on an island, there was a crazy storm, and all of the internet blew out. And I couldn't get on the internet, literally until last night. And I was doing an online 6-dimensional grid activation, and it came on just before. Divine timing. It was meant to be. Now, I had some things that I needed to do online, and I was not able to do them unless I got a certain piece of information. And so I phoned someone in our office and I said, listen, I really need this and this. If you could just try and WhatsApp it to me, because I was getting like little WhatsApp messages were coming through, but I just couldn't plug onto any websites or anything like that. I couldn't get into my emails. So I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning praying that I'm going to have these 2 pieces of information. And all I got from this person that I'd asked the 2 pieces of information from were, Jerry, your business revolves around being plugged into the internet. Don't you think it would have been a wise decision to have asked if they had good internet before you went to this island? So I sat there thinking, what is the point of even sending this message? What is the point of even sending this message? I phoned this person up and I said, listen, I love you. I said, but why did you even bother sending me this message? This is a complete waste of time. I said, the only reason that you'd send a message like this is if you wanted to get a big stick and poke it into the bee's nest and see if the bees responded. You're sat there on an island, there's a storm, the internet's gone down, there's nothing you can do about it, and someone is telling you should have checked the internet before you went, right? So I just breathed, I stayed in my heart, and I said to this beautiful soul, I said just what I said. You would have wanted to do this if you wanted to see if the bees would have reacted. And she said to me, well, I don't really think like that, and I don't operate like that. And I said, I know. And anyway, so we just had this conversation, and the reason I'm sharing this is because through this beautiful soul, my higher self had communicated with her higher self, which is really the one self. It's the one stream of consciousness, right? And I got her to test me to see if I could stay in my heart and just allow her to try and press my buttons without changing my state, without my frequency dipping, without me getting annoyed or pissed off in any way, shape or form, that she'd sent me this really kind of condescending message. That was just completely and utterly pointless in a way. This is just a very basic example, right? But as you move through time and space, as you encounter interactions with other people, family members, friends, and they press your buttons or try and press your buttons, number one, it's a beautiful thing because you get to realize the contrast. Well, if you'd have said that to me a few years ago, I probably would have reacted differently. So now I see the one version of Jerry, and now I see the other version of Jerry. They're completely two different humans on 2 different frequency bands, and that's a beautiful thing to see that contrast. But as we're moving through our daily activities, we get tested by people, and consciously they're unaware that they're testing us. Not everybody, because sometimes people consciously try and press our buttons. That's just the nature of the human game. But a lot of the time, it's unconscious, and people are sharing things with us, saying things to us, doing things that we may not like, or that may have bothered us once upon a time. And we get to choose a different response, and often that response is no response at all. You know, when you're in your head and you're bouncing around thinking all the time, you react. And when you become more consciousness and you breathe and you walk consciously and breathe consciously and adopt that kind of external third-party perspective, viewing your own reality as you move through reality yourself, so it's like you're in two different spaces, you get to see all of this stuff so clearly. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So next time someone does something that actually annoys you, or maybe they do something and you see yourself wanting to get annoyed on some level, but you're conscious enough to not get annoyed on that level, just say thank you to this human being. And also say thank you to yourself. Because really and ultimately, there's only one stream of consciousness. And through the one, we can test the all. Through the one, the all are connected. There really is no separation. So every single human being that you encounter is just another version of you. They might look a little bit different. They might be taller or shorter, have a different skin color, speak a different language, have different eye colors, have different temperaments, but ultimately, they're just another version of you. And if you really want your reality to be the best it can possibly be, and for you to really step up and move forwards and be the most powerful version of yourself, you've got to know that this is a game we're playing, and all the other players on the board, they're there to help you. They're there to sharpen you. Steel sharpens steel. So you mix with beautiful souls that will mirror back to you what it is that you need to work on, and you go away and deal with that stuff. Never blaming, never judging, always respecting everyone else and respecting yourself in any given moment. And that way life becomes beautiful. Just like this beautiful soul who tried to test me with this internet issue. It's a very simple example, but it's a great way of explaining what I'm talking about. There are so many situations like this, so many. In one of our group healings the other day in Bali, we had a gentleman that came into the group healing, and I was removing a shadow parasite from someone else, a lady that hadn't slept for 22 years. Once I removed the demonic entity, the shadow parasite, her whole frequency changed, her whole auric field, her eyes changed, everything changed. And she experienced a level of joy that she'd never experienced before. It was beautiful, but when I was removing this from her, a demon in this gentleman got triggered. The demon was like, I don't want Jerry to remove me from his body. So he started playing up, and the guy started becoming very rude and all of this sort of stuff. In the end, it got too much, and we had to ask him to leave the group healing. And so we sat outside, and you know, the demon was talking through him and saying all sorts of crazy things, you know, to try and push my buttons, to try and push the buttons of other people in the space. And I just went into my heart, and I opened my heart really, really wide, and I shone so much light into the space. The demon just went right back down to the deepest part of this human being's body, this gentleman's body, and the guy walked over to me, and he'd completely flipped the switch and changed, and he was back to his normal self. He said, Jerry, I love you, and he gave me a great big hug. And it enabled me to see like this disparity, like this big change in consciousness, because something was inside this human being, and love was the answer, love was the key. Now this entity was obviously still inside this human, and it had to be removed, but that's a whole other story. The point I'm making here is that reality is not always what we think it is. And just because we're talking about some kind of demonic entity in another human being, that demonic entity is still part of the all. That demonic entity is still part of the one consciousness. Even though the consciousness of that demonic entity is on a lower frequency range, it doesn't mean it's separate. It doesn't mean it's separate. Everything came from the original substance, the original source, the original creator. It's just that some frequency streams, some pieces of code, they go off in different directions on different tangents, and they get a little bit lost. Just because they're lost, it doesn't mean that they're separate. Quite often we find ourselves in darker, deeper spaces. And then we find our way back to our heart, and we move back into that state of equilibrium again. Just because we felt a little bit lost for a while, it doesn't mean that we were separate. People say, well, I'm disconnected from love. You're never disconnected from love, because love is what you are. It's what you are. So you can't be disconnected from it. You've just created a load of layers that are stopping you really feeling it at the moment. And you can dissolve those layers very quickly and simply through different practices like breath work, meditation, qigong, exercise, clean eating. It's easy to bring yourself back into a high frequency state. You're amazing, beautiful soul. Just remember, we are one. And it doesn't matter what you're experiencing in another human being. They're reflecting back something within you, always. And they're also giving you an opportunity to stand in your power and realize that nothing in your external environment can actually change your internal state of being unless you allow it to. And sometimes we do allow it to. And they're the learnings, they're the wisdom teachings, that's the growth. Allowing yourself to learn and to grow and to not beat yourself up over it. To come back to your heart and say, okay, that's just happened. What am I going to do next time? Choices. We get choices. Which choices are you going to make, beautiful soul? You are an extraordinary being, and you came to this earth with so many gifts, so many skills, so many talents. And they're all inside of you. Some of them you may have realized, but I guarantee there's more. Take a deep dive into here. You have all the questions to all of your answers. You're like Morpheus from the Matrix. You know everything. You've just simply forgotten little bits and pieces. And now it's time to wake up and remember that you are divinity, walking in a human body. And it's magical and beautiful and special and powerful and mind-blowingly awe-inspiring. So go out into this world and love your sisters and your brothers fiercely and ferociously. Hug them tightly and never, ever, ever be the first to let go. That's the golden rule of hugging. And remember, check out our website. We've got some of the best ascension tools on the planet. Make a commitment to yourself. Go and get access right now, free for 7 days. Engage in the meditations, the light language transmissions, the yoga videos, the nutrition, the masterclasses, the qigong, the breath work. We've got everything there, a one-stop shop for you to be a high vibrational being. But there's no point dipping in and out for a few days. There's no point dipping in and out for a month. Nobody gets results by dipping in and out. It's about consistency. It's about discipline and commitment. Because discipline, consistency, and commitment, once you exercise them, they will create massive amounts of freedom in your life. Huge amounts of untold freedom. Financial freedom, freedom in relationship, freedom with your health and your fitness. You will become the supersonic superhuman that you came to Earth to be. I love you so, so much. Go and be fierce. Go and be compassionate. Go and share your magical light and inspire other souls on this planet to step into their mastery and their power. I'll see you again real soon, beautiful soul. One love, one heart, one human family. Peace out.